Hello. Sorry about the timer being wrong, but I started the stream and then the music was wrong, and then I tried to fix the music and then OBS crashed, so I had to restart the stream. So, welcome to this afternoon's stream, a proper Coppice Dev stream, because we're actually going to be working on Coppice today, and hopefully something a bit more visually appealing to those of you watching along than the past few streams, because we're going to be building some UI stuff. This morning we also had a stream where I actually went through discussing the Apple event from yesterday and giving my thoughts on it, and also planning out my new setup, because I am going to be getting myself a Mac Studio at some point in the next month or so. So I had a lot of fun this morning with many people in chat who were helping me spec out certain parts of it. So that hopefully will be my new dev machine before long. So how is everyone in chat today? Hope you're all doing well. What are you up to this morning, afternoon, wherever it is you are? And just let me know how you are. And we will, when Xcode has decided to launch. Any day now, Xcode. We will shift over to our main screen. Xcode certainly decided to take its time to launch today. So, what we have been doing previously was the image editor rectangle hotspot. And what this is, when you're linking from an image page, you need something to click on to link. Now in text, you just have a text link, but on an image, you need a hotspot. So there are going to be three types of hotspots in Coppice. You are going to have a rectangle and an oval, which are both going to behave pretty much the same. It's just going to have different shapes. And then there's going to be a polygon. So we've been working the past few streams on this rectangle hotspot. And what this will do is let you just draw a rectangle or an oval and just click resize handles and move them around. So what we're going to do today is all of these tests are passing. In fact, we only have a few tests failing in the whole thing, and it's these ones that I still need to implement, and I'm going to eventually do that off stream. So what we are doing today is building the UI that actually uses it. So if we build and run Coppice, we can have a look at what we have now, which isn't a huge amount. Open the sample. So if we get a image up here, you see we've got our view mode here, we've got a crop mode where we can click and resize down and up, and then you go to hotspot mode and nothing is visible. A crop area here, which we will change there. I'll resize that down. Okay. So this should give us enough usefulness. So what we want to do is we're going to want to draw the image. Then you're going to want to be able to draw, like drag over it to actually draw things. And for that, we should be passing down to our view model, which will be able to handle all that. Because we have our view model here. Where is it? Oh, hotspot layout engine here, sorry. And this will be able to, on the down event, dragged event, up event, receive these and actually create the correct hotspot type and actually send it along. So, what do we want to do on here? We want the view to be the same size as the image. Question is, how are we actually displaying the image in the view mode? Alright, so the image view is filling up the whole thing. We're just having it go proportionally down, so we're going to need to be able to extract that information. Hi Nunchi, happy Wednesday to you too. How are you today? Oh, cool! Working on your side project. Sounds like a fun time. I forget what's your side project. There's a lot. There's so many people with side projects. So, what are you working on at the moment? Oh, an offline payment solution for events like festivals, destination weddings, and conferences. That sounds cool. And that's your side project. That's certainly quite a big side project to be taking on. But I mean, it sounds like a really cool thing, and certainly something that's very useful. Yeah, payment stuff is hard to do, but I mean, as a proof of concept, it's certainly something that would definitely get people interested in the idea and really show that can this work really. So yeah, it definitely sounds like a good idea. Definitely has a lot of utility in the places that you were saying. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, even stuff like RFID, you need some degree of accessibility to the network to some degree. So building for places where the internet is not accessible is definitely a good thing to look at, because I mean so much stuff assumes that you've got an always on internet connection these days, and then it completely fails when you don't, as anyone who was using Spotify yesterday found out. Oh, has Slack been down today? I saw that it was Spotify and Discord went down yesterday. I mean, when a single website goes down, I assume that website's gone down. When two or more websites go down, I assume AWS has gone down. If it's one website, it's the website's fault. If it's two websites, it's Amazon's fault. Jeff Bezos obviously didn't pay his electricity bills yet again. That's why he gets so rich. He doesn't pay his electricity bills. I actually had that when I released Coppice. So I got everything ready to release Coppice. I was going to release Coppice 3 p.m. UK time, I think it was. So around this time. And I wanted to release that day because that day was 15 years since I started MCube Software. And I'd released my first paid app. And everything was ready. I was about to go. And I thought, I'll just do one last check and make sure everything is working in the payment system. And it wasn't. And I panicked. And then I realised, after a little bit, I realised, oh, it's not just the payment system down. There's lots of other stuff going down. And it turns out that was one of those days where AWS decided to take down about a third of the internet. Because I believe it was US East 1 had decided to break. So it was one of those days where not only did AWS go down, but AWS's status page went down. So you couldn't actually check the status of AWS to confirm it was down because they hosted it on the nodes that went down. So that was fun and stressful when you are like 15 minutes from about to release the first version of your app and have large parts of the internet, including your payment processor, mess up. I eventually did manage to release that evening, but that was stressful. That's probably the most stressful launch I've ever had. And that's including when I launched an update to an app that didn't actually launch. Like the app crashed when you launched it, so I had to rush out a bug fix to that, though that one was quite early on in my career. Oh no, this wasn't with Apple. With Coppice, I'm not on the App Store. I'm with I'm using Paddle outside of the App Store. So they were using some parts with AWS, as half the internet is. It's just things weren't as resilient as they should have been. And there are bits where there are a few bottlenecks in AWS and a few things where people use the same node, which is usually US East 1, I believe. And it basically showed who actually had the capability to fall back when that node went down and who didn't. And for my payment processor, parts of their system did fall back correctly, but some parts didn't. Because they depended on... I don't think it's anything on their side that went down. I think they depended on services that depended on AWS. So it's sort of like a full stack of cards that just came tumbling down, where it's like, you may not use AWS yourself, but if your service uses a service that uses AWS, then you're going down along with them. It's why you've always got to be careful with your dependencies. Right, so I think for this, so the problem I have with this, you're going to need to be able to draw a hotspot. So what I'm going to need is to know how big the image is. The problem is the actual size of the image view is the full size of the view, and the image is just centered, and there's no way that you can actually get that normally. And even worse, if I go here, it's set to scale down. So this is the full size image, but if you actually scale down like that, it will scale down. If you scale down like that, it will scale down. And when it scales down, what I want to have happen is I want the view that's actually going to control the hotspots to maintain this size and actually scale down, but not actually scale. Like, it should scale down, but I'm not drawing it at full size and scaling it down. I'm drawing it at the correct size, just so that I get the crisp hotspots all the time. This does mean that there's going to be some level of conversion. So I'm going to need to convert from the coordinate space of the view into the coordinate space of the image before I send it to the layout engine, which is actually going to do the layout. And then the layout engine is going to set the position and size of the hotspots, which I then need to convert back to view space to draw them. So I think the first thing to do is actually work out all of that conversion stuff, where we just want a view displayed on top, and it just is going to write out this is like the size of the view and the size of the image and like the conversion factor. I mean, the good news is because we're scaling down proportionally, this shouldn't be too hard, because all we're basically working out, the view is going to be centered, so we don't need to work out the position. Auto layout can work that out. We just need to work out if we are this height and the image is bigger, then we want to actually scale down. So we can actually have a view that is in the middle. It must be not go beyond the edges, and then its intrinsic content size will be the size of the image. But when it goes and sizes down, then it is going to start redrawing, because it's then going to see that, oh, its intrinsic content, like its actual height is less than the image height, and at that point you start doing the scaling. So the other key thing is that this view needs to work in both view mode and hotspot mode, but in hotspot mode it allows editing, whereas in view mode it doesn't. So what we will do is effectively view mode and hotspot mode will be the same. It is just the layout engine will be different. Potentially. At least part of it will be the same. Because what I want here with the description is potentially to have the description appearing down here and sort of a black overlay, a bit like when you are in Twitter or something and you're viewing. So it will be you'll basically have if you just imagine like a black box in this area. Probably a bit bigger than that. Black box in this area with the description text in there, or it just won't appear there if there's no description, and that's something that you'll be able to show and hide. So view mode might be different. It would be good to actually utilize that, because the key difference is going to be the layout engine. Yeah, I think we're going to have it where most of this is the same, because we can always just have it where we just don't show our thing at the bottom. Yeah. Let's keep it like this for now, because we're going to need this part for both view and hotspot. So we won't bother setting up the hotspots enough now. We'll just do it all in the view, and we will toggle it as necessary. So for hotspot layout, we actually need to take that out of hotspot mode. But before we do that, because I haven't actually done it in a while, everything's taking a long time to launch today. Is this my iMac realizing that it's going to be replaced at some point soon and deciding to slow everything down? Wait, what? Why is system information using 86%? 1 second. Okay. I'm sorry, errors, but that is a ban. The bots really are out in force today. Okay, I wonder if it was just, I don't know, system information, or seemed to be running for some strange reason. I have no idea why. Right, let's save this. Right, now let's move. Right, so we have our layout engine, rectangle, so we want our hotspot. Oh, we're not handling creation there. Okay. That will come back to bite us in a bit. So we need the image size. Done that. We want draw effect. We're going to just do and it's color dot black with alpha 0.8. Then fill the bounds. Want to add our view in here. Horizontal, vertical. Placeholder intrinsic size. And editor hotspot view. Set all these to 0. Then I'm on create an equal to. Okay. So what we need to do now is here need our hotspot. And add a subscriber for case image. Why is it an image placeholder? Oh. That needs to be in front of there. Yeah, our hotspot view. Link to the hotspot view. Okay, hopefully this works. It does not build. Okay. That seems to be slightly off. Yeah, that's a point down. Point down, that be okay, that seems to be okay. I can say, aha. That's not 1 point, that's 1 pixel, because it looks pretty spot on my non-retina display. You only see it on the display over here. That should be acceptable because, I mean, we're not going to have a big black box, so should be good enough. I don't know why it's shifted down by half a pixel. Is it just... Oh. Okay. It's because either the view and auto layout or the image are using half pixels. And I think it's the view is using half pixels. Okay. Shouldn't be a big deal. See what happens when we scale. Yeah, you can't scale below at the moment. So we need to change some constraints. The hotspot, compression resistance, we're going to whack that down to 251. 251. I'm going to build and run again. Now we're getting smaller, but we're not changing the size. Now this may end up being a terrible way of doing this. Can't remember whether this works. I think it should do. Yep. Let it pass. See if this gets stuck. Hey. Actually. We'll be able to just do the aspect ratio and have auto layout do the rest. Width is 3, the height is 2, and you want to divide by the height and multiply by the width, so it's dot width divided by self dot image. God, self dot width grid side dot height reasons. Be able to invalidate that because that will only run pass. God, self dot image size. If it's greater than 0, self dot image size dot height is greater than 0, else we return ns size. View intrinsic metric and it's viewed metric. So this should hopefully work. Scale down. Yeah, there we go. Auto layout magic. That's good enough for me. Right. However, what we do want is get the aspect ratio of image to size. So we want let aspect ratio equal self.frame.height divided by self.image size.height. Then we're going to do color.white.set ratio as a string. See if that works. Oh, foreground color. So that seems to be working well. We can see that we can scale down and it's drawing our text on there, saying what our aspect ratio. So this is 26% of the size, 58%, 76%. I think that should be good, because what we need to basically do is, if you click, it should be able to give that in terms of the overall size. In fact, what we could do, that be that. Let display string or aspect ratio as an S string. Hi Steve, no, I have not ordered. I am going to be a good boy and wait for the reviews, and then probably let the reviews confirm my biases and buy anyway. I can actually show you the setup that I've chosen if you want. I did a stream this morning where I talked it through with several people working out. Okay. Bring this up there. So this is what I'm going for. So the Mac Studio. I'm going for the M1 Ultra version with a 2TB SSD. Everything else is the same. Apple Care and the Magic Trackpad, which after my stream this morning, someone reminded me I do not need to buy a USB-C to Lightning cable because the Magic Trackpad comes with one. So that's saving me a bit of money. For the display, I'm going for the Gigabyte M28U, which is a 28-inch 4K display, a USB-C display, which should be pretty nice. 144 Hz, and unlike the Apple Studio display, it actually costs a reasonable price and has a decent stand. In fact, the stand for the Studio display to get the height adjustable one is an extra £400. The entire monitor here is £660. I need to get some USB-C to C cables because I'm going to have so much USB-C. So I'm going to get for the Stream Deck, for charging my iPad and mouse, and for the display. And then for the enclosure, I'm going for the OWC Mercury Quad. And then I'm going to go for a 2TB SSD for a clone drive for doing like a full carbon copy clone as a backup. A 4TB one for Time Machine, and then two new 2TB SSDs. These are my carbon copy cloners that I always keep one off site. So I'm going to have two full clones and a Time Machine on site with a full clone off site at all times. So I'm going to be backups up the wazoo, which means that the two 1TB SSDs that I've got as my off-site backups now, one's going in my gaming PC for additional stuff there, and the other one will take up the another slot in here as my extra storage drive. And so I'm going to have another terabyte there. I also need a webcam, and I'm still working out which one to get. Potentially the Logitech Brio, though I've heard that could be a bit flaky. I have heard that the new Elgato camera is meant to be quite good, so I may actually take a look at that as an option. In fact, I haven't actually looked how much it is. Camera, face cam. Let's put this down for now. $149.99. Just stick this in. Because that's a lot cheaper than the beer, which I think is that almost £100 more. The Opel C1. Yeah, I don't think I need something quite that high quality. Plus it's going to be $300 and then eventually $4 a month. And then you can reserve it. I think I might go the Elgato face cam. I've heard a few people recommend it. And to be frank, I've been very impressed with the Stream Deck and Stream Deck software and everything, so I think this looks pretty good. I mean, it's not 4K, but it looks like a very good 1080p. And £150 is not too bad. And the thing is, I don't need it for streaming, it's more for meetings, so I don't need it to be, like I said, ridiculously good quality. I just need it to be decent. And anything's better than the potato that they've been sticking into iMacs for the past however long. So yeah, I think that should be pretty good, which brings the total to £6,726. That's a lot of money. Though to be fair, I am buying like, what's that, 10 terabytes of SSD storage in that. So 10 terabytes of SSD storage, a monitor, and the most powerful Mac money can, well, not quite the most powerful Mac. I'm not paying for the GPU upgrade, but about the most powerful Mac money can buy at the moment. And a fairly decent webcam. I mean, this is an upgrade in every regard. It's given me a far better Mac. I mean, the display technically is going to a 4K display, but it's an external display, which is what I wanted, and it's a high refresh rate display. So I'm dropping from 5K to 4K, but I can upscale it, and I've got potentially high refresh rate. I'm getting an additional backup, and I'm getting rid of my last hard disk, so everything is going SSD, and it's all going to be packed into a single enclosure. I'm getting a webcam upgrade, so yeah, it's upgrades all round. So I'm going to wait for the reviews to come out, and then I'm going to start buying a bunch of this stuff and start upgrading. So yeah, I got a little excited. I mean, you can see it in the tasks as well, the number one task. But yeah, this is my computer for the next 4 to 5 years. And to be frank, back in 2019, I was willing to spend this much on the Mac Pro. like to get a monitor and a well-spec'd Mac Pro, I was expecting it to be, okay, I'm spending £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 to get something that is what I want, that is going to last me for quite a while and has a lot of power. The problem is the Mac Pro didn't have a lot of power and started at £6,000. So at least this is more what I was expecting, to be able to get a very powerful developer machine that is going to last me a long time for that. This, to me, that is decent value for money. I mean, I'm still surprised at the price Apple has put the Mac Studio at. Even for the M1 Ultra, it feels like, for Apple, competitive pricing. I did not expect the base model Mac Studio to be £2,000. I did not expect it to only be £4,000 for the M1 Ultra. So this is definitely fantastic. Oh yeah, the 2000 model, 2000, at the low end model, feels like there is finally something that can replace like what was the low end Power Max. Oh yeah, I mean, if you spec out a PC with high-end components, you're talking the same price as the Mac Studio. Like if I was to go for a Threadripper build, I think for a Threadripper build, I priced this out when the Mac Pro was around, and you're talking around price of a Mac Studio. And that's why the Mac Pro was so ridiculous, because you could get a Threadripper build that could outperform the highest end Mac Pro for about £4,000 to £5,000, so less than the cost of a base model Mac Pro. And here we have an Apple Silicon Mac that can outperform the highest end and get like similar performances and be way cheaper. Oh yeah, these days you're easily going for like 6,000. This was 2019, back in the before times when prices were semi-reasonable. I think Apple's performance stats are probably a little bit cherry-picked, especially on the GPU side, because it seems like it's a case of, in some scenarios, they absolutely crush like what Intel and AMD can do. In other scenarios, they're on par, but they are better at efficiency, and yet most scenarios, they just seem to be lacking for some reason. And the whole problem is you can't tell whether that's software or hardware. So it's going to be a thing of needing to see the actual performance in real-world benchmarks to know exactly how fast this is. Because the only benchmark I've seen is Geekbench, which, I mean, is kind of ridiculous because it's saying that the single-core performance is just below the 12th gen Intel, while having multi-core performance just below a Threadripper 3990X. So it's like the second fastest CPU for multi-thread. Oh, it's M1 Ultra speeds. I mean, I'm gonna have to throw. I've got the XKCD T-shirt for can't get back to work. Oh, my code's compiling. I have that on a T-shirt. I may have to get rid of the T-shirt. The M1 Ultra has rendered that obsolete. I say that the M1 Ultra has rendered that obsolete. I am not using SwiftUI yet, so when I start using SwiftUI, it will become relevant again. we will see whether the M1 Ultra can handle SwiftUI's scale. But this is exciting for me because, as I said this morning, the iMac I have now, it's a fantastic machine. It's always a compromise because the Mac Pro was not good enough. It was underpowered and overpriced. Whereas this is the machine for the next half decade for me. And I actually, if I switch over to linear, it'd be great to show you this. I've actually planned out what is going where in terms of the ports. Because I was trying to work out what cables I need and what needs to go where. And I was a bit worried I wouldn't have enough USB-A ports. And it turns out I'm actually maybe only going to need to use one. Because if I switch over my Stream Deck to a USB-C to C, that can plug in the front. Pretty easy plug in and unplug. I can plug my USB, my iPad and stuff in with a USB-C to C charging cable into the front. My externals for doing a clone backup, I've got USB-C to A cables already, so I can plug them into the front. And then at the back, I just have SSD, my 3 monitors, because my the new monitor I'm getting is a USB-C monitor. So unlike my current Dell that is one of my externals that I'm using partly as a USB hub, that needs a separate USB cable that is USB B to A that plugs into one of my USB A ports. Well, I don't need that with this new monitor because it all goes through the one cable. So I've freed up a USB A port there, freed up a USB A port by not having my Lightning be USB A, or have my iPad or mouse charger be USB A, or my Stream Deck be USB A, because they can all go in the front. All I need is my MX Master dongle in the back, and then I've got one USB A free for if I need it for something else. And I was recommended potentially switch one of my external monitors over to HDMI, and if it's in HDMI, I've got a Thunderbolt port 3 on the back, but as I already have the cable and I don't need to, I figured just use the ports because it's there. The MX can plug into a USB port on the monitor. I'm probably not going to do that. I mean, I may try it and see. I mean, my keyboard, even though it's technically a wireless keyboard, I have a cable, a USB extension that runs out to it, and it's blue tacked underneath because the interference with this can be such a pain that it is better just making it into a quasi wired keyboard. So there's a wire going to it, and it's just not connected to anything. It's just the receiver's plugged in and it goes like the 1 centimeter to where it needs to go underneath. So that will probably be plugged into the monitor. I might try the mouse plugged in and see what it's like there, because then that leaves another port free at the back. I mean, it's kind of ironic that thinking about, oh, will I have enough USB-A ports with only 2 on the machine, and then realizing, oh, I may not need as many USB-A ports. that I hadn't factored in having them on my actual monitor. I mean, in theory, I could have both the keyboard and the mouse plugged directly into the Mac Studio. I keep wanting to call it a Mac Pro, but I could have them both plugged in, so they're both directly in, rather than going through a hub. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. All I know is that I haven't been this excited about a Mac in quite a while, and I did get out my old Mac Mini to have a look at the size comparison, because it is, like, my Mac Mini is a 2010 Mac Mini. The footprint of this is exactly the same. The exact same dimensions. It is literally like the same Mac Mini design they've had for years, just stacked up. Right, so let's get back to working on what we have here. I was going to do mouse down, dragged up. Bethany, welcome to the stream. Thanks for the raid. How was your stream? And thanks for the follow as well. How was your stream and what were you up to? Welcome everyone to the stream. I am Martin Pilkington. I am a software developer for Apple's platforms who is based in the northwest of England. I've been doing this for about 17 years now, and when I'm not doing contract work, I'm working on my indie app, Coppice. Also, you're doing embedded development, debugging an audio driver. Oof. That is well above beyond what I usually get into. I've done some audio work, but never going down to the level of an audio driver. I leave that work to people far smarter than I am. Coppice, Coppice is, well, let me show you. If I build and run, hopefully it will build and run because I've just been typing some stuff. So what Coppice as the word means is it's a means of cultivating trees where the tree is chopped down to let more roots grow so that you can cultivate lots of wood. It was used very much in the olden times to actually manage forests. So Coppice works sort of a similar way. It helps you cultivate your thoughts. So you can add all your thoughts into the app as pages or images, and then you can lay them out on the canvas and have them all branch out. You can click links and they open up. And you can just basically lay things out. It will remember everything that you've had open as well. So, for example, if we open some stuff there and then we close it, you can open the link again, and it just keeps everything nice and organized. And it's designed basically not to just be yet another note-taking app where you can put stuff in, but something where you can actually use what you've put in and remember what you've put in. So I'm currently working on the image pages. So at the moment, in the release version of Coppice, these don't do much. You can add an image and add a description and that's it. But we've been adding functionality such as cropping support, so you can crop down, move around, and then go back and then have full undo. You can do rotation and stuff. And what we're working on now are hotspots, so you can actually create links. So what you're going to be able to do is drag a hotspot over something and create a link from that to another page, just as you can in a text page create a link to another page. So that's what we're currently working on. So it's we have the basic thing for the hotspots working. This is sort of getting the view side of it working. It's just programming. Worst case, you just need to reboot. Yeah, I suppose that's the case. I mean, like I say, it always seems a bigger thing when you go to the lower level stuff, though I suppose on the other hand, the lower level you are, the fewer of other people's levels you have to deal with, and the fewer bugs in other people's levels you have to deal with. I don't think I've heard of Zim. Have a desktop wiki. Yeah, so this is somewhat inspired by sort of wikis. I mean, it's inspired by the fact that I've wanted an app like this for quite a while, and there are many things that I've done, but one of the big things that I use Coppice for myself is I run a Dungeons and Dragons game, and I've run other RPGs as well. And when you're running the games, you want to have a lot of information that you jot down, but you want to reference it later. And you don't know which bits you're going to need to reference, but all that information needs to be linked together and so on. So I end up building up stuff in note-taking apps, and I've used various note-taking apps, some of them based like wikis and so on, and they're all great for getting stuff into it, but they're all terrible at getting stuff out, because when you want to reference multiple things, it's a pain to actually get that stuff out. So that's why I built Coppice, because I can build something up like this and then hide most of it and then go back and actually get what I want back out. So that's why, partly why I'm building stuff like the image linking, is that at the moment, for example, in fact, let's just change that down to that and rebuild. Thanks for the follow, Pepperoni Pizza. So yeah, I have, for example, a map like this for a location. And at the moment, if I wanted to use this map in Coppice, in the release version, I could link to it. So I could have like a main thing for this town of Pine Grasp, and the main page has a bunch of links to other things, and it can have a link to the map. Once I get this hotspot stuff working, what the idea is that, for example, I could have this be a hotspot and this be a hotspot. So this can now become the main page, and I can actually click on links on the image and things go out from the image to other areas. So it's great for stuff like that. I thought if you are, for example, redecorating a room, you could just have a layout of a room and have links of different things in just your basic sketch layout of your room that link out to various options for flooring or paints or curtains and so on that are all stored in different pages. So I feel like getting this image stuff is really going to take Coppice to the next level. It's really going to make it a lot more powerful because you can actually use images as actual interactive elements now. So it's yeah, very much, as you say, a technology born from D&D, but has a lot more applications beyond that. It's just getting it to the point where it can really get there. I mean, I've released several versions before, and this version is sort of like, in quotes, the 1.0 version, because this is what I wanted to release, but I ended up cutting it down to the most minimal products. I've been working on this for a while already. Yeah, I see a lot of these second brain apps. So there's a lot of them about. I mean, I've seen quite a few others, and I think it's one of those where there's a pretty big market and enough people's like first brains work in different ways, where I think there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of apps and all of them to work in slightly different ways, because the way one app works may work brilliantly for one person but not for another. And for me, Coppice is how I want one of these apps to work, and hopefully a lot of people agree. No, this isn't on a browser engine. This is all fully native Cocoa and AppKit on the Mac. So this is very much old school Mac development. So all of this is just an image. In terms of all the actual hotspots, they're just going to be, well, in this view here, which I was just writing. So I'm just implementing stuff here where you can see down here we have this number 1.0. I'm implementing this as a scale factor because I'm going to need to do some translation, because I'm going to need to scale this down. So we're going to see how this works. Getting it, yeah, feel free to add me. Are you a VTuber yourself? Oh, cool. I'll give you a follow. Where? I have no idea why Twitch isn't showing me the follow button, but I will leave your page up and look later. I haven't seen that many other tech VTubers. I mean, if you want to link your list in the chat, feel free. I'd love to take a look at it. So I've not been doing this too long. I think I started early to mid-January, so I've only been doing this probably about 2 months now. So let's go in here, and what we want to do is here, when we have display string, we want F.set needs display all bounds. Yeah, looking for stuff on Twitch is kind of hard. I mean, I didn't realize there were so many people doing development from like Mac and iOS on Twitch. There's quite a few people out there doing it. I didn't know they were there, despite looking for them many times on Twitch, because you have to catch them at just the right moment to realize that, oh, they're doing like Mac and iOS development. So it's not the best platform for finding stuff, but it's good for streaming on. Yeah, I've actually been very impressed with how easy it is to get streaming on Twitch and get everything set up. So it's been fantastic to actually use Twitch. But yeah, I'm glad I have other means of getting people to discover the stream. But I mean, at least you managed to find it, so that's always a good thing. So occasionally you can stumble across great things on Twitch. It's just luck of the draw as to whether you do find something. So, for some reason that's not working. Why can I not click on this? What do I have in front of the view? Okay, so I have image editor, view mode view, color background view. Interesting. Why is mouse down not being called? I have. That would be why. Got image. Do I have this? Assume that is because of the placeholder view. So why am I not? I think I'm overthinking this one. Why don't I just stick the placeholder view at the bottom? Do I need a bank account to code in Swift? No. Well, yes, sort of, maybe. I mean, you generally, it works best if you have a Mac or an iPad, so you need a bank account to pay Apple But you can do it on Linux or I think Windows now. You just need a lot of patience to code in Swift. It takes a while to get used to. It's very much a love-hate relationship. I love parts of it. I hate other parts. Okay, so that is now working. Yeah, the syntax is quite nice. I mean, the nicest bit is when you get to where's a good example? Here, when you get to enums, because enums in Swift are amazing. Because, for example, here I have a direction. So an enum for a direction, and you just have your case, horizontal, vertical, as you have in almost any other language. But you can have properties and functions on the enums. So this lets... Oh, is it not zoomed in? Let me zoom in a bit for you. So hopefully you should be able to see it a bit better as I'm just explaining specific things. But we've got a direction here with horizontal and vertical. And I have properties here that allow me to return certain things. So what I can do is down here, I pass in the direction. And rather than having to do the switch down here, I can just direction dot size key path. And the switch is actually on the enum. Same down here. I have all these for resize handles, and I've got just booleans. Is it a top resize handle, a bottom one, a left, a right? Which allows me to make these a bit easier. I can just do conditionals using the enum, because the actual switch is hidden down here. You can also if I search it, enum, do I have any? You can just assign them a type, at which point you can, for example, do special list items, raw value, and if I do -4, that will create one with customized, but if I do -5, that would fail and return nil. If you do with a string, this automatically creates string values. So I could do coding keys.id .raw value, and that equals ID. So it can automatically give you like string identifiers and stuff, which is great because it means that you don't need to use string identifiers, you just always use an enum. So that's my favorite feature of Swift. There are a lot of other great features in Swift. They've recently added async await, as you have on JavaScript and C# and so on. What else have they? I mean, they've got a full new threading model based on actors, which I've not really looked into too much. What else do we have? I mean, if there are any questions that you have specifically about Swift or about Mac development, just feel free to ask away and I'll try to answer them. That's a fair point. I'm going to have to flip those coordinates. Hotspot view. That's more like it. So at 0, 0, go up to 789654. That's what we do. Self.image size dot width. Right. Then run it again. Okay, so 788 by 652. Okay, but if I scale this down, and I now go here, that's not going to be correct. So what we need to do is have these points scale up. So what we should be able to do is self.frame.height divided by self.image size.height. I think if we did that, no. If we do it the other way around, we can multiply, it's a bit better. Divided by self.height. Multiply by the aspect ratio. Right. There we go. That is scaling correctly now. So all our points can be scaled. Sweet. So now that that's working, I am going to take a 2-minute break just to go refill my glass of water. And when we get back, we will start actually trying to hook this up to some of our existing code. And so we can get some hotspots drawing. Though I believe I do need to, in my in the layout engine, to handle creation here. So we'll work on that next, and when that is working, or actually, I should be able to just throw a hotspot in, shouldn't I? Yeah, that should be doable. So therefore we can just test editing before we do creation. So I will be 2 minutes, and thanks for the follow, Air London. Oh, you got to go. Well, hope you have a good rest of your day. I'm streaming this week because I'm off from contract work. I'm streaming tomorrow and Friday. Normally, I'm streaming either every Monday and usually alternating between Fridays and Saturdays. So hopefully I can see you again sometime. But thanks for coming. Thanks for asking questions. And I will also be right back in a few minutes. Okay, I am back. So, let's get back into this. Just shrink the text down a bit so I can see it a bit more on this display. Right. I think what I might experiment with future, maybe when I get my new machine and I've got a little bit more horsepower for doing the encoding, is see if I can up the size to 1440p, which would hopefully make the text a bit crisper for people. But what we want to do is have a hotspot view, have a layout engine. Over here. Right, so let's add some hotspots. Yeah, if you're watching on a phone, it's... Oh god, I mean, what's it look like on my iPad? In fact, do I have Twitch on my phone? I do. Let's see what it looks like on a phone. I'm curious. I mean, if I switch it back to what I normally have it at. Yeah, it's a bit hard to read. So you can actually... You can actually zoom in on, at least on iPhone, you can zoom in. So, seems to be fine. Right. So, got the layout in. So what we want to do is add some hotspots. So let hotspot equal Coppice open. Okay. So 33213. Woods. Edge the rectangle hotspot is going to be a rectangle in CG rect That's 3, 2, 1, 3. That was, yeah, plus 3, 2, 1, 3 to around 61, say, 61, 380. So 60, well, let's say 30 and 380. We set that to 10. 380 is 170 for the height. Now, mode. Let's just do view for now. And self dot new model dot image dot size. I have one for the tavern and one for the barrack. Tavern will be an oval. I'm going to set that to 460, 390. Let's do 40 by 50 so that we get an actual, or 50 by 40. So we're getting the actual oval rather than just a circle. And then the last one is going to be up here, and we're just going to have another rectangle, which is going to be 5, 20, 150. And then probably 40, 50. So 5, 20, 50, 5, 40, 50. And then we'll do self.layoutEngine.hotspots equals when we set the layout engine, we want world value.delegate equals nil, layout engine.delegate equals self. Image editor hotspot view. And we're going to make this into our image editor layout engine delegate. And implement these. Did commit edit. Layout did change. Self dot set needs display. Self dot bound. We can get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of all of. So we want a private honk convert point image. Point CG point. Image. And all this is going to be is going to return point multiplied by, and this is one of my extensions that I've built on Core Graphics. So we have a point multiplied by self dot image size dot. Oh. Well, we've gone by the aspect ratio, so it doesn't matter what we do with the height. Self dot frame dot size dot. Which we don't even need the dot size. So let point equal point in view self dot convert point and dot position window from view now point left dot layer tension dot down event at point in image modifiers event dot layout event modifiers, which I believe, yeah, that's an extension I added elsewhere. Event count is event dot click count, I believe. And we're going to do our dragged, and we're going to do our up. So they go through. And then we want a private func convert rect from image space. So let's arc events, arc conversion, and arc drawing. Organize this a bit more. So for this, we want to return CG rect origin. Let aspect ratio equals self.frame.width divided by self.image-size.width. So we're going the other way around. This is going to be rect.origin multiplied by aspect ratio and rect.size multiplied by aspect ratio. Okay. So what we can do here, guard let layout tension equals self.layout tension. Otherwise return. We also want to self set needs display set bounds. Bar hotspot in attention dot hotspots color black with alpha component 0.8 set fill color dot stroke rect equals self dot convert rect from image space hotspot dot Oh. I just realized something went wrong. I'm returning Bezier paths. Well. Okay. Well, we won't do the conversion for now. But we're going to have to change these hotspot paths and editing bound paths, passing in an aspect ratio. Same with the editing handle rec. So we could possibly get away without that, but hotspot path dot fill hotspot path dot stroke. Right, let's see if this works. It does not, because there's a compiler error somewhere. Zero. Sure, that will cause a division by 0 at some point, if I've not caught them all. Okay, so that is not drawing anything. Let's have a look why. Oh yeah, because I'm not calling setup layer. Always the case. You map all of the code, and you forget to call the entry point. There we go. Our hotspots. They appear. Now, let's try something slightly different. Edit. 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 And what I'm also going to is go up here or rect in tennis color.white.set fill hotspot.editing handle recs for each $0.fill. Oop. Go back up there. Oh, would you look at that? Our unit tests, they work. Oh yeah. Oh, nope, that's broken. But that isn't. That is working perfectly. Oh, that's working. So I can resize that. I hold down Option. Oh, nope. Things are going wrong. Okay, so something's going wrong there. But considering that all this code for moving stuff around, considering that all this code for resizing, this is the first time this is actually running in a view. Previously, the only time this had run was running the unit tests, image rectangle hotspot tests, running all these tests. I would say that is a success. This whole thing was fully abstracted away, and literally all this code here to draw them out and to do our mouse down and drag and up. The only bugs we seem to have are with the option resize in some cases, and the only flaw is the fact that we're returning Bezier paths, which is great, but we need to convert those to functions so that we can pass in an aspect ratio so that they can be correctly sized for drawing. But other than that, as long as we're not doing the scaling and the option, I mean, the option works. It's just when you get beyond a certain bound that it seems to cause issues. But actually, that is bounded on all sides there. And you can see I'm dragging like this, but the minute I hold the option key and start dragging, I probably want it when you actually press option and switch the modifier, it actually invokes it again. But if you hold option and start dragging, it switches and you drag again with option off. This I think we need a happy face for that. I think that is pretty spectacular. I don't think it's the anchor point when the option is held, Steve. I think because it's only when you get past, because you notice how I go there, and this is going back, but when I go beyond there, that's fine. Well, the bounds shouldn't be there. The bounds are over here. There's something. It's like it's getting the image size wrong, maybe. But the thing is, like over here, yeah, that goes wrong when you go beyond, because that should be blocking there. So I think it's something to do with our bounding, the code that stops it from resizing when it gets too big. There is something going wrong there. But to me, that is a massive success. What we are going to do is actually, let's delete some of these from here, and let's fill out a bit more of exactly what we need to do going forward. So we need to pass aspect ratio to our hotspot. Because at the moment, if you start scaling this down, you see they're not scaling down, which they should do. And we can't just take the Bezier paths and scale them down. You could do like an affine transform on them to scale them down. But the problem is we want them to be crisp. We want all of these bounds to be crisp on the pixel, especially when you go onto a non-retina display. So if we pass the aspect ratio in, we can convert the actual rectangles down, round those, and then pass back the Bezier path. And everything should be crisp. And that should be great. Pass the aspect ratio to hotspots. Fix bug with option resize and toggle redraw when pressing option. But if we do all that and get all that working, oh, we also need one more, which is finalize visual style. But if we get all that working, we probably also want to do selection. Actually, if I click on that and I tap, no. So that is sending it to the image, not to this. Okay, so selection / deletion. Let's just use that by a bit so it all fits in. So that should be everything that we need to do. If we get all those first things done, then all we need to do, in theory, is add our polygon hotspot. Oh, we've got creation to do as well. Selection, deletion, creation. So get those bits done, and then once all this is working, this view just works. Then we can add our polygon hotspots, and then once that's done, we can start actually hooking this in properly into this edit mode. And then if I just go to Jira, actually, Jira. Reload that. Go to my dashboard, default dashboard. Okay. So we've got the bug that Steve pointed out earlier, which is the show pro features in Inspector, which does seem to be a bug in Monterey. So we'll get that fixed. There's a bug with text expander not working. A few other things. But once creating image links, editing image links works, we need to get all of this working with cropping, and then we need to get all of this working with rotation. So all of our cropping and our rotation and our hotspots all need to work together. So we'll get that working. So there's still a lot to get done, but this is a huge step forward. We now have our hotspot UI working, and I am so happy. Today has been such a fun day. Planning out my new computer, finally getting this hooked up, meeting new people in chat, and yeah, this has been a fun and productive day. And I think, as I have already streamed for a good 3-4 hours this morning, I have no idea when it was, and this is getting on for 2.5 hours now, I think I'm going to call it a day. But tomorrow, it may be another long day. I may do another morning stream. I may not. I've got a few things I need to sort out in the morning, so it may be a longish afternoon stream. But we'll do a stream tomorrow. Gaddy Noob, thank you so much for the raid. I think I've given you a follow now, so hopefully feel free to visit again. Let's see if there is anyone around for us to raid. Is anyone I'm following online? Nope, only Warhammer, and as much as Steve would probably like to watch that, there's no point in raiding. So let's have a look and see if we can find anyone interesting. Oh, Wednesday mobile app work. And that's Singularity. Not sure what's going on in that stream. Anything? This is the problem. If you want to look for someone to raid, it is a pain to find someone. Thing is, I've got a lot of people who I follow. It's just none of them are online at the moment. I always seem to end my streams at the worst times. Well, there is a streamer, Finite Singularity. They have Wednesday mobile app work, and they have a dog on the stream. So I don't know if we want to raid them because they have a dog sat in the chair. They are nowhere to be seen. So I think we will give that a go. I've never actually got around to raiding someone before. Where is the raid? Let's see if it will let me. Finite Singularity. Okay. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again. Happy coding!
Instead